for our agenda tonight. We have an item 4, which is a proclamation that's on the table that recognizes the retirement of Sandra Hammersley. And then we have item 8D, which is Richmond Station Support. Dean had sent an email out, and we have a draft letter that is before you on the table. With those adjustments, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all is in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. If we could rise for a moment of silence, please, and then Brian, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sure.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is citizens' time. Anyone signed up who'd like to address the governing body? Anyone? Don't see anyone. We'll move on. Our next item is under item 4, recognitions. We have a proclamation, and it is one that I have personal regret to see, but it is a proclamation recognizing the retirement of Sandra J. Hammersley, a teacher at Manassas Park High School. And it reads, whereas Sandra J. Hammersley is retiring from Manassas Park High School after 39 years, and whereas she was one of the original teachers when Manassas Park City School System was founded, serving from September 1976 through June 2015. And whereas during these years she served as teacher, friend, and role model to many of our boys and girls, inspiring them to learn and to help others learn. And whereas she's achieved recognition from her peers by being a mentor to many of the new teachers coming into the system, helping them to become better teachers and role models for the youth. And whereas during her tenure at Manassas Park High School, she taught physical education 9 and 10 and driver's education. And whereas she coached varsity softball and JV basketball from 1976 to 77, 1987, and 88, swimming for a year, girls track and field, cross country, boys and girls, middle school basketball and softball, and received Coach of the Year honors for softball both in the Bull Run District and by the Manassas Journal-Messenger. Now, therefore, it be resolved, on behalf of the governing body, congratulates Sandra Hammersley on her retirement, extends our sincere thanks for her dedicated service to Manassas Park City Schools and her dedicated service to the youth of our community. Governing body's pleasure on approval of the proclamation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Presentations. Anything tonight? Nothing? Okay, we'll move on. Consent agenda tonight. Consent agenda consists of approval of minutes for the June 1st and 2nd meeting, the appropriations for the city in the amount of $49,965,188, and the schools, the first quarter appropriation, $10,442,934, purchase of a police department vehicles, $112,000, fire department purchase of mobile data computers, $16,588.88. Fire Department annual payment for the Mobile Data Center Seat Management Program, the amount of $13,767.36. And Branscombe Paving, the contract for street repairs. This is a ratification of the paving contract that the governing body approved via email at the end of the week last week. Governing body's pleasure on approval of the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a few questions about the street repair. Do we want to have this now, or do we want to have it a separate discussion?
Let's get the vote, and then we'll ask the questions.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, questions on the street repair?
So I just wanted to find out, like, I mean, in FY15 budget, we had capital projects, for road improvement, of which, how many projects have been completed and how many are pending, because many of the roads are really in a bad state. So I just wanted to find out the status on those.
And Jay and I talked about this earlier today, and Jay, jump up if I misspeak at all. But there was only $200,000, about $200,000 in the FY15 budget. And so when Jay had said that it was zeroed out, he meant with this contract it would be zeroed out. So this is actually it that wiped out the 2015 budget and is going into the 2016 budget, in which there is $788,000, but there was only a little over $200 in FY15. Is that correct, Jay?
Basically, yes.
Okay.
Now, I remember listening to Calvin talk about the conditions of the roads and the paving, that some of them are so bad that they require not just that the surface level paving, but you have to go into the entire blacktop and uproot it. Did you encounter any of those problems, Jay?
Yes, and that's where we've got, just like Kim just spoke, we've got, there were two, that's why on your, okay. We have the situation of, we have what's called mill and repave. It's generally 1.5 to 2 inches, okay? What we're gonna do in the balance of the FY15 is north, south, east, and west of Euclid from the intersection, like Euclid towards Connor, and from Manassas Drive down towards City Hall to the speed bump there. Those are just 2-inch mill, 2-inch overlay. The work over at Connor Court and coming back up to where actually the county did some work, that is a rebuild. That has been falling apart. We did over the wintertime, we did some repairs. In fact, the guys are actually working there tonight to put some, repairing some storm sewer over there. That's the one, to be the first one in FY16. That's actually gonna be 3 inches of base plus 2 inches of asphalt. It's an industrial area, and it's been, we've spent a lot of patching, we did this past winter, and a lot of repair work, and it's still, I just came from there before I came to this meeting, and it's still in bad condition. So that's a heavy pavement. Typically, it'll be 2 inches and 2 inches, but in any area that's suffered more than just the surface cracking up, then we have to do more.
Okay.
So that's the way we've done it. But we've also, just to let you know, we've got the Manassas Drive that you've got here, and then for the FY16, the Connor Drive, we've also gone down and got prices by the high school, all the way from the, well, I'll call it Euclid Court, coming up by the high school and coming up up here again towards Manassas Drive. And then there's 2 other residential streets that have had significant failures, more than the milling. And that'd be Evans and Scott.
Oh, wow.
That we've had problems with. One of them spring-fed problem. It's been ongoing for a long time. Those will be the 3 and 2 to replace. So they're more expensive, but it's more of a long time fixed.
Now, is there anything we can do to prevent from the roads getting so degraded that they need these rebuilds that we, in the future, we can look at?
Just recently, just when on Euclid Avenue, and I'll go back in history a long time ago, it used to be a 2-lane road that went down there to the old school when the farm was up there and everything. When I had the guys go out there, that is a road leading into Industrial Park with only 2 inches of asphalt on it.
Oh, wow.
Okay. It should have, an industrial park should have, for the heavy vehicles and the traffic should be a lot more. So actually, when we're doing work down there, that's gonna be the 3 and 2.
Okay.
So we don't have the degradation of the top surface.
And what Evans and Scott, how did those get so bad they need to rebuild?
Though, there again, the philosophy years ago was mill off 1.5 inches, put back 1.5 inches.
Oh.
Okay, and that's in my opinion, is a cosmetic fix for a road that has subgrade, subbase, or conditions underneath of it. So that's why on those roads, we've had spring problems and stuff. If you don't take care of the base, winter comes and you'll be back in the same direction.
Okay.
So.
And my final question is, on Euclid going towards the school, at the stop sign, the road kind of blisters. I don't know if that's the correct term.
With the road, actually, it rolls.
Okay.
And this, what I got pricing, which I have, was one of our next phases, is that whole intersection is going to be redone. Because what has happened is asphalt, when it gets hot, and people stopping, they'll just start pushing and rolling.
Right.
And so all 4 of the legs off of that need to be done.
Wow. Yeah, and that's the industrial vehicles and school
Yeah.
buses and everything.
Everybody, and there again, it goes back to the actual pavement that's down there is, by mine, when I've been around for a couple of days, it should have been a lot heavier at times. Then you just have your surface cracking, your mill and your overlay. But down there, we have a lot of stuff with either trucks, vehicles, school buses that are always, like you're saying, stopping there.
Right.
But it keeps pushing, and you don't really see it, but it's happening all the time when it's hot.
Okay, so we're gonna use heavier pavement so that it doesn't happen, okay.
Be 3 inches of base, it's called BM 25, which is a big stone base, and then it's 2 inches of the topping,
Okay,
which
Right.
is a SM2A.
thanks, Jay.
Okay?
Any other questions? All right, thanks, Jay. No unfinished business. We'll move on to new business. The first is for the schools. It's the appointment of Manassas Park School Board for 2 terms that would expire on July the 1st, 2018. Governing body's pleasure on nomination for the first of 2.
I'll make a motion to appoint Hong Shu to the Manassas Park School Board.
A second?
Motion and a second in discussion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Is there a nomination for the second seat?
I make a motion to appoint Eric Harmon for the second seat to the school board.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second discussion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. So our 2 appointments are Eric and Hung, and if you'd please let them know so we can go ahead and get them duly sworn and they can take their seats on the first. Our next is for the Northern Virginia Community College. This was a requested renewal. It would be Hong Zhu for the 4-year term from Manassas Parks representative on the Northern Virginia Community College Board. I believe he currently serves as the vice chair of that board. Governing body's pleasure.
I'll move approval to appoint Hong Shu for another 4-year term.
A second?
And one point of clarification, we just appointed Hong to the school board. We've done the research. There is no conflict of interest and no prohibition. He can fill both with no difficulty, just as a matter of record for the citizens.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
Actually, I think this is a good synergy because he can see where Nova can sometimes meet the needs of the school system as well and vice versa.
Yep.
So I look forward to seeing that.
All right, we have a motion and a second for Hong Zhu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next item is the governing body summer schedule. We traditionally shift to a 1 meeting a month process unless something comes up. We'll obviously meet if we need to. But the summer schedule, so that we could appropriately announce, is recommended to be the 3rd meeting of each month, which would be July the 16th and August the 18th. Governing bodies.
Actually, that 16th should say 21st. I think that's.
Which, the 16th should say July 21st?
My 16th should say July 21st. I think that's the 3rd Tuesday.
Okay.
For clarification, those are the days that we do meet.
Those are the days that we do meet.
Okay.
And if we need to have a special meeting, I will call a special meeting outside of those 2. But the first Tuesday meetings, we will not hold if things go as we would normally expect them to go. So governing body's pleasure on approval of the summer schedule for July and August, which would mean a meeting on July 21st and a meeting on August 18th.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second in discussion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Our next item is recently received from Dean. It is the support memorandum that would go to Supervisor Noy and a copy to the Board of Supervisors and others. This is a follow-up to our discussion at our last meeting and would be the city's support documentation for Richmond Station. Coincidental with that is the authority for Dean to be able to address this and talk in favor of the development at, I believe, the Planning Commission meeting, which is scheduled for tomorrow night. So what's governing body's pleasure?
Question. Are we certain that that's going to be approved?
You can't say certain because that would presume a pre-decision. The indications are that there's support.
Because when we discussed Caden Ridge, the city attorney assured us that it would go forward, that it would be approved, that all indicators pointed towards approval.
And I think similarly, all indicators are pointing to approval for this as well.
Okay, regardless of what we do.
From everything I understand, including a conversation this morning I had with Bob Marshall, yes.
Okay, okay. Just wanted to clarify that.
Okay? So what's governing body's pleasure?
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Is there a second? Motion and a second. And the motion, just for clarification, is the approval of the memorandum and the authority for Dean to be able to speak on our behalf at the Planning Commission. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I just want to make a comment for the record, and I'm gonna clarify, because I think, Jeanette, you're trying to make a point, that this is a decision that's made outside of our jurisdiction and outside of our influence, so we have little to no influence on this, but we're just asked by the developers to just give our opinion.
So let me carry it one step further than that. It's actually more than that. We are not a decision maker in this process at all. It is the Prince William County Board of Supervisors. The location of the proposed development for Richmond Station will put heavy use onto our parks and potentially some of our roads and probably our EMS response capability. Although not required, in recognition of the cost that the city will bear outside of the city bounds, the developer has agreed to a gift, if you will, of $1,500 per residence, per unit, in other words. That is kind of them to make that recognition, because the challenge is that Prince William County is continuing their proffer demand of the developer in full measure, although they won't carry the burden for most of the support services. So that's part of the support thing here, is that there is a sum of money that comes to the city as an offset to the cost.
I agree.
Yes, sir.
Clarification in the motion, I think you mentioned authorizing the city attorney to speak at the, did you say both, Planning Commission and Board of County Supervisors?
I said Planning Commission only. I guess I should say both, shouldn't I? So is that acceptable as the maker of the motion?
Sure.
So the clarification is that it would be both at the Planning Commission meeting and any subsequent Board of Supervisors meeting on the topic.
Yep.
If there's no other discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Managers report.
Nothing, just 2 items for closed session.
Okay. We also have one item of personnel that I would like to have as governing body only. So we'll actually go in the closed meeting. Recommendation is that the governing body go into closed meeting under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, Section 2.2-3711A, subparagraph 1, personnel, to discuss assignment, performance of specific public officers, appointees, employees of public body of the city, and subsection 5, discussion concerning a prospective business where no previous announcement has been made of the business locating to the city. Governing body's pleasure on going into closed meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? And motion carries. We need to have closed meeting in here, or do we go elsewhere for closed meeting? Well, the problem we have is